For a young man, Jonathan exhibited a confident presence in the pulpit. I noticed that some of the women in the church seemed to be interested in more than just the sermon. Jonathan had startling blue eyes and thick black hair that framed an interesting face. His looks weren't cookie-cutter handsome, but he was certainly appealing. The sermon focused on Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 and 14. Jonathan encouraged his parishioners to follow the Apostle Paul's commitment to forget the past and concentrate on the future. Too many people are changed by one or two events in their lives, something that colors their perceptions and alters the course of their existence on this earth. Usually the event is traumatic, something painful. But our lives are made up of many moments, good and bad. One incident should never define us, because God has already defined us. He calls us His beloved children, victors, not victims. He calls us overcomers, not overcome. We are new creations. I felt like God was speaking directly to me. I thought about the changes that occurred in my family after Ryan went missing. All of us were altered by his disappearance, not only in our emotions, but also in the way we reacted to one another. I couldn't help but wonder why we hadn't pulled together instead of allowing ourselves to be torn apart. What was it in us that had driven us to become weaker instead of stronger? Jonathan went on to say that no one ever won a race by running backward. Instead, we need to keep our eyes forward if we ever hope to find the destiny that God has for us. His words struck a chord in me, and I knew I would remember them for a long time. Outside the church, I talked to several people about Sanctuary and actually interviewed a couple of them for our report. Jonathan was happy to talk to us and was very articulate about the town's strong spiritual foundation. After a quick lunch at Esther's, Zach and I took off. Before we left, I made a phone call I didn't want to make. I needed help, and there was only one person I knew who might be able to provide it. Jonathan's sermon had given me the courage I needed to take a step of faith. Zach and I took the tour of the Bonterre mine. When we walked down the stairs into the mine, I felt as if I'd entered another world. The boat trip on the below-ground lake was eerie and silent, and somewhere in my mind I could hear the echoes of chisels and tools carving out the huge passages we drifted through. Rather than being claustrophobic, it felt peaceful. I felt protected from the confusing world above me. I watched as the heads of divers popped up around us, causing the still water to ripple. It was a surreal experience. Ed had approved the mine tour in Bonterre, even though everyone in Missouri knew about it. Surprisingly, a large number of Missourians had never taken the tour, in spite of it being a big tourist attraction. Missouri was rife with abandoned mines and littered with caves. Maybe the appeal of the tour wasn't strong enough for people so used to the incredible natural and man-made features that made Missouri so special. We interviewed our guide after the tour and caught the reaction of a few of the visitors. Afterward, we headed to a little Italian restaurant not far from the mine. Angelo's had a reputation for great pizza and calzones. Small and cozy, it was the kind of place where patrons dusted off their chairs before sitting down and ignored the stickiness of the plastic green or red checkered tablecloths. From the moment we stepped inside, the incredible smells made my stomach rumble with hunger and my mouth salivate with anticipation. Faded murals celebrating Italy decorated the walls. Grapevines covered porticos of Italian piazzas drenched in sunlight. My eyes swept the room. I spotted him sitting at a corner table, already looking uncomfortable. I walked toward him, Zach on my heels. "Hi, Dad." My father stood up, a throwback to the old-fashioned manners of his youth. "Hello, Emily." He stuck his hand out toward a surprised Zach. I should have told him I'd called my father, but for some strange reason, I hadn't been able to find the words. "I'm Lyndon Irwin," he said.